Anyway, I'll talk to you later.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to see you. I'm sorry for the delay. We had to go downstairs. Something was going up upstairs. We had to change location. We'll do the best we can. Okay. So where do we leave off?
Well, middle of Bet Yosef text. I think it's on Sefim middle Kishag Godel.
Again?
Sefik middle Kishag Godel.
Okay, 1 second. Yeah, I see that. Okay. Sheachik melo kasher gudal. Got it, Yitzhak? Show him where that is.
Thank you.
Okay, God bless you. Thank you. So we'll say the prayers. שלא ירד בתקלה על ידי ולא יחשוב בדבר עליך וישמחו בי חברי שאומרת מותהו ולא תהות טמא לא מותר אסור ולא אסור מותר ולא יכשלו חברי בדבר עליך ואשמח בהם כי אדוני ייתן חוכמה מפיו דעת ותונגה לעיניי ואהבית נפלאות מתורתך. We need all the prayers we can get with this night. Okay, so here we go. So it says, right, sheachik melo kasher gudal. We said, right, it has to be at least this much, right, the distance from the edge. That's what it's saying. Tzarich she'achikena min hasafa. You have to distance it from the edge. Melo kesher gudal, this amount that we just said. Shi'ur hatziporen, right, ima basar. So it's the skin with the nail, right, the whole thing, the whole limb, right, that whole limb, right. Okay. Ima basar. Ad perek rishon, until the first joint, which is this one, right? This is the first joint. I'm not talking about marijuana. Don't take it the wrong way. Okay, so right. Okay, so here we go. So it says, right, ad perek rishon v'samag katav v'zel shono. So he says, right, says the smag, hamatil tzitzit bebeged. If he puts tzitzit on the beged, lo yanichena lemala mishalosh etzbaot. Don't put it above 3 fingers, as we said, right, 6 centimeters. That's already not the corner anymore, right? You're already above the corner. And also don't put it below that amount that we just mentioned. Because it says ala kanaf, it says on the corner, meaning what? On top of it. If it was really like in the corner, on the edge, right? They will be under the corner, not over the corner. Also, it says don't put it on the edge of the beged. All right, so he says the reason is because over there it's not going to be strong, because it's going to rip like that, right? It's going to rip open. You're going to put it too much to the edge. All right? Right? So it's like the rim, of the beged, where it's strong. They make it strong on the edge, to make it last better. Okay, so then it says why? Because it says on top of the corner. That's not a part of the corner. That's not a part of the beged. Interesting.
How else would you say it though? It's not on top of the corner.
As we said, right? There's also under the corner, right? Or in the corner. Right? There's all kinds of things, on the corner, whatever, right? All kinds of ways to say it. On top is something else, right? On top is like the top of your head, right? Where your kippah is,
Right.
it's on top. So, so he says, when Rashi says at the end of the beged, it means like it's less than this amount, as we mentioned, right? This amount is less than that, and it's no good. That's called like the corner, or whatever. So again, right, we said this several times. It has to be at least that minimum, and the maximum is 6 centimeters, which is 3 fingers. 3 thumbs. Nikak kanaf, that's called the corner, right, of the beged. Ulmala mishalosh mitzvot, and above that, right, karui beged, that's the beged itself. You're not in the corner anymore, right? According to this, it says, what it says is they should make tzitzit, on the corners of the beged. Also, this pasuk, that they should put on tzitzit kanaf. Doesn't want to say that they should put the tzitzit above mina kanaf, above the corner, on the corner itself, right? So therefore, don't put it below that amount that we mentioned, right? Thumb, that limb, and not above 3 fingers. It's not called the corner there anymore. So therefore, it's pasul. Right? Also, this what it says that you should put on the keren, on the corner, which is in the Braita, Perusho hitil bekeren. It means in the corner, on the corner, whatever. It means below. He put it below that amount, which is no good, as we said. Name Perusho begedil. And when it says ala gadil, right, on the knot, whatever, it means in the knot. That if the knot was wide, more than that thumb thing that we mentioned. And then you put the tzitzit over there in that place, even though it's above that size, pasul is still pasul. So it says kolbo katuv ochez mishalosh etzbaot. It says like this: take from 3 fingers al shalosh etzbaot. Take 3 by 3, right? That whole corner there, 3 by 3. She'eno kanav pachot miken. So he says that's the least you can say. Call a corner. 3 by 3 is like the smallest amount that you can have. So that's called corner, right? So you put the hole over there, and right, we call it, yeah. So and then we put the strings inside the hole. So that probably answers your question, right? You asked yesterday, which is, how much in can it be from the from the side? So it's telling you that's also 3, right? In other words, it's like a 3 by 3. You have like that area, that's your corner. So you got to work with that area, It seems like, yeah, it seems so. We'll see later on. We'll see how the halacha is. But it says anyway, he seems to hold that what it says, right, that they should put on tzitzit kanaf, the corner of the tzitzit, whatever, the corner of the beged, ve'asur lahem tzitzit, al kanfei bigdehem. When it says on the corner, perusho sheitnu tzitzit lemala mi'kanaf, it means above the corner, as we said. Ulefi zeh she'en nikra kanaf pachot, that the kanaf, the corner is only called mashalosh etzbaot. It can't be less than 3 by 3. Tzarich sheitnu besof shalosh etzbaot. So therefore, you got to put it at the end of 3, right? In other words, all the way above. The kasher, this is difficult, he says. If so, kol shenatnu lemata mishalosh etzbaot. If he puts it below 3, yesh lefoslo, it should be pasul according to this, right? Which is not the halacha for us, but according to this, comes out like that. Why? Because it's not above the corner. Seems like he holds like this. It doesn't say that he distanced it like this much, the kesher gudal. Sagi, that's enough. It doesn't say that it's enough in this posek. The kasher, the behed yaminan begimar, but this is difficult. Why? Because in the Gemara it says, explicitly that that's the size, right? The minimum is the thumb. So then why does he not mention that here? Once he has that thumb, he's good. So then why does it say you should make it dafka 3, and not less than 3? The odd kasher, another difficulty, he says, the lefi perush zeh, according to this perush, havale leachshure, he should have machshired, he could have afilu im tzitzit menuchak yoter mishalosh, even if it's more than 3 fingers, it's both. Share ala kanav hu, because it's on top of the corner, right? Natun be'amai pasin, then why do we say it's pasul? Rabbeinu Agadol, so it's Rabbeinu Agadol Mari Abuhav, Katav, he writes, Shatam shetzarich sheyu betoch shlosha, the reason that it has to be within three, also the minimum is the thumb. Why is that? Because it's not called a beged if you have less than that. And therefore it says, right, this is like the general rule in the Talmud, 3 by 3 is the minimum size for a beged. Therefore it says, therefore it has to be within 3. And now which it says that it should be like the thumb, because it's only that is called the corner. If you have less than that, lower, odd kanaf, that's called not kanaf anymore. This is Maria Wahab. Okay. So a little bit different nuances, right, with these poskim. Each one has his own little version of this, right? This whole thing. But, so says Maran now, he comments on this. So I don't understand his words. Even so, why? Because even though it's not called beged, less than 3 by 3, right? Kanaf the beged mikra, but it's called the corner though. So he says, I don't understand what he's talking about. The kala al kanfe bigdehem, and still you can say, right, this pasuk, no problem. On the corners of the beged, kamera. That's what it says in the pasuk. Below al bigdehem doesn't say on your beged. The od says furthermore, the lefi ta'amom, according to his reasoning, kol sheirchik pachot mishalosh etzbaot. If he distanced less than 3 fingers, hayalanu lifsol. We should puzzle it according to that. So then how is he machshir if it's just a thumb? So he says, therefore, the ikar seems to be Rashi and Smag. In other words, their perush is the most accurate one. Like we explained their words. Ibn Habib. So he says, what about Mari Ibn Habib? Katav, it says over there, Tam Shiur Kimlo Kesher Gudal. What's the reason why you have to have a little minimum thumb? Shamati ki yesh be'orech kesher gudal yoter mishte etzbaot. Look what it says, right? That's like more than 2 fingers, this size. Interesting, right? That's what it says. I heard that. But it's not 3. So in other words, basically, according to what he's saying, you have like a slack, like between 2 and 3. That's where you got to put it. Yeah, but the truth is, this is not really 2. But that's what he says.
Right? A little less.
A little bit less, exactly. It's like 1.5. Yeah, exactly. כי יש באורך קשר גודל יותר משתי אצבעות, והנה עולה 3 אצבעות, והרי אנו צריכים, yeah, right, I'm sorry, so I'll read that again, one more time. כי יש באורך קשר גודל יותר משתי אצבעות, ואינו עולה 3 אצבעות, והרי אנו צריכים שלא יהיה בקרן ממש. So we want that it shouldn't be mamash in the corner, really like in the corner. In other words, a little bit inside we want, right? That's the whole point. On the corner, on top. Not under the corner, as we said, right? Also, we want that it shouldn't come in. We don't want also that it should be more than 3, right? Or even 3. Because that's like already the size of beged, 3 by 3. Regarding tuma, it's a different discussion, but we learn from there. So what does that mean? You know what that means? That a beged which has 3 by 3 size can acquire tuma, but if it's less than that, it doesn't acquire tuma. There's a rule like this in Talmud. Yeah.
Somewhat related question. I don't know. Like if I've heard that if you leave an unclosed container of water or something over your bed at night,
yeah,
it acquires tuma.
You may be talking about under your bed because otherwise it does not.
Not under. Oh, so
yeah.
if it's next to your bed, does not.
No. It's a fable. This the whole thing. It's interesting, that what happened was that my friend, has a series of books that he wrote. You may have heard about it, like it's several languages. The Kosher Kitchen, you ever hear this book, The Kosher Kitchen? English books, like about halakha. So La Cocina, right? Whatever, right? It says in Spanish, right? La Cocina. Okay, whatever, right? So there's several languages he did it, Spanish, English. He has it in Hebrew also, everything. So he wrote in the one on the kashrut. He has a book on kashrut also, right? Kosher Kitchen. So over there he writes that, that that something left over overnight gets ruach ra, whatever. So, I looked at it, and I was like, I was puzzled a little bit. I was like, where does it say that? Like I was just wondering. So I looked around, I couldn't really find a source for this, anywhere. So then I came to him and asked him, I said, where'd you get this from, So he doesn't even know himself.
He got a book.
So I'm sorry.
He got a book and doesn't know where it was.
Can you imagine something like that? Yeah, I mean, he wrote a lot of books. He doesn't remember everything. You forget. That's what happens. I wish we remembered everything we wrote. Believe me, that would be a big thing.
Something physical can get into it. If it's open, right?
You know what I mean? The only thing we have is the issue of the snake. Like putting its poison in there, right? The venom. But today it's not shaykh, this thing. We don't keep that. So therefore, there is no ruach ra on foods. There is no such a thing like that. That got left over overnight. Except they say, right, the onions and the garlic, but that already they say that's not relevant either. So really not much, nothing is left, nothing is really left there.
So uncovered food is no problem.
No problem. No. I personally, I eat it, I have no problem with it. Okay. Something got left over overnight. I have no problem with that. I eat it. Okay, whatever. Right. So it's a little stale. But what can stale but edible. Okay, so getting back to what we said, right? So קיום שיעור חשוב לקיים בבגד, ואם כן היה על בגד שלא ולא כנף בכנף ולא תחת הכנף, where we read this, ולא בבגד רק שיהיה ציצית תוך האצבע השלישית, right, קודם. So he says the bottom line is it has to be in that third centimeter, the third finger, right? It has to be that size, that area, the hole. Between 2 and 3. Right? That's the proper place to put it. Okay, so then he says, השלמתו בזה יש לו ממש לקרא על כנף. So in a case like that, it would be really called al kanaf. That's the designation. כיוון שהוא יותר משתי אצבעות. Why? Because it's more than 2. But נקרא כנף, and it's called corner. ולא בגד. It's not beged yet, because we didn't get to 3 yet. כל עוד שלא הניחו למעלה מ3. As long as you don't put it above 3. 3 אצבעות שלמות. שיש בהם שיעור בגד. That's שיעור בגד, עד כאן השלום. Right, so he brings all kinds of rishonim with different kinds of, versions of this. Right, it's interesting. כתב הרוקח, another rishon, right? נראה ברחב הנקב שבו החוטים, שאין החוטים רחוקים מלא קשר גודל, let להנבא. Oh, interesting, right? I'll read that again one more time. כתב הרוקח, says the רוקח like this. נראה ברוחב הנקב שבו החוטים, שאין החוטים רחוקים מלא קשר גודל, let להנבא. Look what it says, right? So it says, as long as you made the hole, at least the thumb, right? There was that thumb. You made the thumb, okay? But some of the strings are a little bit below that because the hole is big. So it says, we don't care about that. It's okay. Okay. Where does he get that from? I don't know. Don't ask.
So the beginning of the hole from the bottom should be.
In other words, as long as the hole is at least that height, even though some of the tzitzit are a little bit below, it's okay. That's what he's saying.
We also said we should not be above 6 centimeters, right?
Right. Yeah, 6 is the top. Right.
Is that the end of the hole? Should be 6.
We're talking about now that he put it down, not up, right? He put it like the minimum size, not the maximum. So he put it like this, right? Which is about 1.5 centimeters, right? Plus minus, whatever. Maybe, no, I'm sorry. I didn't say it right. 2.5, right? So he put it there, and some of them are a little bit below, Okay.
So the middle of the hole was 2.5 centimeters.
Right, exactly. That's the whole point. Yeah.
And that's still kosher? So
That's what he says, the rokeach. Interesting. Okay, let's see Shulchan Aruch, and we'll see how it paskins. Interesting. So this was tet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it, guys? Okay, so it says like this. Yaseh neked be'orech hatalit. Right? Make a hole in the length of the talit. Lo lemala migimel etzbaot, not above. He doesn't have it. There's no rush.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so it says Yaseh neked be'orech hatalit. Make the hole in the length of the talit. Lo lemala migimel etzbaot, not above 3 fingers, as we said. And it says in parentheses gudalin, right? That means the thumbs. Each one is 2 centimeters. Mipnei she'eno nikra kanaf. That's not called corner anymore. That's called beged. Velo lemata mikishur sheyesh b'kesher gudal ad tzipon, and not below the thumb, right? The first joint of the thumb. That's the minimum. So basically, we're going like from 2.5 to 6 centimeters. This is the range that you have to put it in. Something like that. Why? Because it says on the kanaf, right? On top of it. If it's going to be below that, it will be under under it. Okay, so then says the Rama, so it says we measure it straight, right? Below be'alachson, not diagonal. Not Karen. Well, you don't go from the corner diagonally, right? Like some kind of a whatever roller coaster, right? Not like that. Go straight up, like an elevator. Okay, that's it, right? Let's go on. Pretty clear.
The next in the tour saves you and Olive or yep.
Together, okay. Okay, let's see how it goes. So now we're doing Yud, right?
And Yud Olive.
Right. Ve'im haya rachok mi'akanaf. That's how it starts, the tour. Okay, so it says, one second. Yeah, so it says, Im haya rachok mi'akanaf. If it was far from the corner, kimlo kesher gudal, at least to right the thumb, ben natku mechute arev ad shalosh, right? But what happened was that some of the strings of the woof of the beged, it means that these strings, right, which are going horizontally. So you know what happened, right? Basically, it's a simple thing that when he put it, it was kosher. But then what happened was that the beged got ripped and so it went down. It got ripped a little bit. You understand, Yosef? What I'm saying? He put in the hole, right? And then it went down, because it ripped.
The hole itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that it's not kosher, the size. So how we judge that, right? We say it's kosher or not kosher? Originally it was good, and now it's bad. You know what I mean?
What if let's say you have a beged, right? And for the Tzitzit itself, you're trying to put it through the hole, but it's too short. So you just cut off the circle. Not like ripping it, but you're just cutting off the circle to make it like a bigger circle.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the same thing pretty much, what you're saying. But anyway, that's a different question. But before we get to that, right, let's just first concentrate on this, right? So what happened was that it got ripped and it went down, right? So the question is it kosher like that? Right, so it says it's kosher like that. So in other words, we go according to the beginning, the way it was, when you put it. So he says, but the proper thing to do is to make like what do they call that? The edge, where it's like thick, what is it called?
The corner?
Not a collar, but like you make around the hole, like make it thick so it doesn't rip. What is that called, that place? Whatever it's called. Anyway, you get the idea, right? So you make like something like that, and this way it doesn't rip. That's what it says. It's good idea to do like this. What about the width of the beged? And lo shi'ur, rak shelo yitneu ala chutin she'osin b'safat habeged. So it says regarding the width, there's no size. You can do whatever you want. But don't put it on the strings that make the edge of the beged. In other words, you don't want to put it that much. That's not good. Okay, I'll read that one more time. Just a little bit, the language is a little bit strange. Again, one more time, right? It says like this. If it was distant from the edge, at least like one thumb, right? As we said, right? The thumb. And now what happened was that it ripped, so now you don't have the size anymore. Kasher, it's kosher. In any case, he says, but good to make that thick part to hold it, right? The lip, right? What do I call that? Whatever it's called. So, they shouldn't rip. What about the width of the beged? What about that? In other words, is there a size there, a limit? Like you asked, right? That was your question. So here he says, and lo shiur. There's no size for that. So you can put it pretty much anywhere you want, more or less. But don't put it on the strings they make for the edge of the beged. Right? It's gonna rip it up or something, whatever. Okay, that's the tour. Is that the end of the tour?
For the beged, it's the end.
Okay, let's see it Yosef. It needs a little explanation. This tour. So says Bet Yosef. You got it, guys?
Yeah.
So he starts with Yosef, right? Go a line or two down. Sham Ravina, it's a Gemara over there, the Gemara we mentioned. Ravina v'Rav Sama, right? Havu Yatve Kame de Rav Ashe. So these two rabbis were sitting in front of Rav Ashe. Chazie Rav Sama leglime de Ravina. So, right? That Rav Sama saw the robe of Ravina. The satar ubatzar memelo kesher gudal. So you know what happened, right? Exactly what we just said. It ripped, and his tzitzit was like below. It went down, like we said. Amarle, so it tells them, "No savar la'amor lehai de Rav Yaakov." So he says, "Don't you hold like what Rabbi Yaakov said, right? You got a problem over there. Amalek tells him, Beshat Asiyah Itmar. Says that, he says, no, that's something else. That's talking about the time when you made it. This happened already after I made it. In other words, when I made it was kosher. Now it went down, so it's good. That's what he's telling him. So we go according to the time of the making. That's what he's trying to say, right? You guys see, by the way, there's something important to learn here, from this story. There's many stories like this in the Talmud, but you see that he wasn't afraid to embarrass him like this, Oh, you embarrassed me. Lashon hara. That's not lashon hara. What are you talking? He's rebuking you. He's telling you that you're doing something wrong. That's not lashon hara. It's not embarrassing. That's you're doing something against the halakha. He's telling you you got to change it. So there's no prohibition to do things like this. You understand? People should know. Sometimes people ask me questions like this. Isn't it lashon hara? Isn't it embarrassing your fellow Jew? It doesn't apply here. They have to understand, right?
It's a big topic, lashon hara. So
right. The truth is, for the Rambam, it's a small topic. He only has like 2 halachot in the whole Rambam. It's only 2 halachot.
But how come
Yeah.
Shulchan Aruch doesn't have halachot lashon hara?
Because the Shulchan Aruch doesn't, he only puts like just, your average everyday, things, garden variety, south topics. The rest is in the Rambam. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Yeah.
Lashon hara sounds like a big topic too.
Yeah, you should have told him if you were alive when he was alive, you should have told him that. Maybe you should have put. Maybe he would have listened to you. I see your point. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to mock you. I see the point. You have a point there. I don't know why I didn't put it. I'm just trying to defend him. Like the best I can. But anyway, it's in the Rambam. So, but you should know, right, that the truth is, that there are many topics in the Torah where it's not concentrated somewhere, but it's like scattered. So the laws of Lashon Hara are like scattered all over the place. Here, there's some things, but this is, like just this is really not under the laws of Lashon Hara. It's under the laws of rebuke. It's a different category altogether. So what does that mean? It says, right, Hocheach Tochiach. The pasuk says you have to rebuke your fellow Jew. You know where it says that, right?
But shouldn't you do it in a way where he won't feel embarrassed?
This is the question, right? This is a classic question. No, what's the answer?
I think you should do it in a way where he doesn't feel embarrassed.
So why do you do it like this?
Because these are different people. Like
different people.
What? They
follow the halakha just like you. I'm sorry. Somebody wants to participate here.
Or it's a teaching moment and it's not an embarrassing moment or correction moment.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. But he's telling me that no, you should do it in a way that you shouldn't embarrass him. So what's the answer to that? You know what the answer is? There is an answer to that, by the way. The answer is that when somebody's doing a sin in public, especially, or even in private, but right now he's doing a sin, you know what I mean? At this moment, like as we're talking, you have to stop him from that. So, but I can't embarrass him. Yeah, but if you don't stop him, you got a problem with Hashem. You know what I mean? So then we ask you a question, right? Who's more important to you, the kavod of Hashem or kavod of this person? That's it. That's the reason why. You got it now? That's the whole point, right? Huh?
The sin is already done.
If he's done, you should not tell him in public. But no, no, I'm sorry. Again, I'm stand corrected, right? If he did it in public, okay, and people saw that, you should talk about it because otherwise people can get the wrong impression. You know what I mean? It's going to be a chil Hashem. So there's a Gemara Masechet Eruvin. It says, right? Kol makom sheyesh chil Hashem lo mechabdim et harav. Any place where you have chil Hashem, we don't honor even a rabbi. We don't honor him. So what does that mean? If the rabbi is doing a sin, he's talking during Chazat Hashatz, like some rabbis we know. Shh, we won't mention any names, right? Right? They talk in the wrong times. You have to tell him in public, Oh, but he's a rabbi. Yeah, okay, but he's also a rabbi, Excuse me. He's a bigger rabbi. What do you want? Understand?
Rabbi.
Yeah.
The question completely off topic, but since you mentioned the Rambam, and there are so many other authorities that look at Egypt.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Yeah, don't we have the prohibition of?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, this is a famous question. That So did you guys hear this question, by the way, on Zoom? What he's asking? He's asking, how did the Rambam live in Egypt? We're not allowed to go. It says in the Chumash, we're not allowed to go back there.
I remember.
Never go back to Egypt. So how did he go back to Egypt, right? The Rambam, that poor guy. Right? So how did he do it? So the answer is, right, first of all, by the way, he felt very guilty about it because he writes in his letters, he says, every day I'm doing a sin, he said, living in Mitzrayim. He felt very guilty. But what do you think? What he was
it can be pikuach nefesh because he was working for the pharaohs at the times, the kings.
Abraham,
That's
welcome,
why.
Abraham. Where'd you come from all of a sudden?
Yeah, I'm still here, Rabbi. Still here.
I didn't see you. Okay, so the truth is, that it's a very simple equation. Okay, when it comes to this, the answer is that even though you're not allowed to live there, but it says the Rambam himself, by the way, in the Halachot, he talks about this. What do you think? He missed it? He talks about that too. So the Rambam says you're allowed to go there for business, not to live there, but for business you can go. That's one thing, right?
Like what Rabbi did, right?
Oh, Rabbi wasn't going there for business. He went there to be a rabbi.
Yeah, that's
Right.
isn't that,
That's also business, rabbi business.
yeah. No, is that what?
I'll explain to you. Second. I'll explain.
Wasn't he a doctor too?
Yeah, he was a doctor too, sure, yeah. But here's the thing, right? Oh, so here's the thing. You're telling me that he's a doctor, so he's going for business. No, we're not talking. That's not a business. That's a job. You know what I mean? Right? He's living. It's a permanent job. That's not called business. Business means you're going to make a business deal and come back.
Mhm.
So that you're allowed to do. But to get a permanent job over there, you're not allowed to do, even if you're a doctor. But what you are allowed to do is to go there as a rabbi. Understand?
People are not supposed to be there.
Good question. You know why? Because you have to serve the community. What can you do, right? Those people you never know why they wound up there. You never know. They may have gone there because it was mutar to be there for them, in their situation, whatever it is, right? But anyway, there's a community there. There always was, by the way, until the Medina, was formed 70 years ago. There was always a community in Mitzrayim. It's a whole history, by the way. I don't want to get into that whole thing. It's a whole history lesson. But there's talks about it in Talmud and everything. But the bottom line is like this, that you're allowed to live in Mitzrayim to teach Torah, to be a rabbi. Yes, just like a person, who leaves Eretz Israel, right, to teach Torah, he's allowed to, even though you're not allowed to leave Eretz Israel. How did I leave Eretz Israel? Because I'm teaching Torah over here. Otherwise, I couldn't leave. What do you think? Well, I'm here on borrowed time. You know what I mean? I'm borrowed over here. I have to go back. Once I finish my job, I got to go back.
I thought you were doing kibbutz Avei.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. But the truth is that kibbutz Avayim it's not so pashut, because when it comes to kibbutz Avayim, you're allowed to leave temporarily. To see them, to visit them. But it doesn't mean you can stay there. For that, you're not allowed to stay there. Kibbutz Avayim is like we're talking about temporary job. Not a permanent job, as we said, right? Same thing. So therefore, right, the rule is that to teach Torah, you're allowed to go. This is why the Rambam was allowed to be there. Otherwise, he couldn't be there. He was a rabbi there. Right. So that's the whole thing. That's why I'm here. That's why the Rambam was there. Right. You should Rabbi Yosef, the chief rabbi, used to tell me that one time, the rabbi went to Chutz La'aretz, for some reason, whatever. He was going to Europe, whatever it was, right? Whatever. And Rabbi Yitzchak told him, he says, Abba, I want to come with you, Can I come with you to Europe with you together? So he told him, only if you teach Torah over there. He says, you have to give some shiurim, he says. If you give some classes, I'll let you go. You understand?
This is not applicable it's not applicable to those who go to Islam and yeshiva for a year or how many years?
Oh, you mean to come back, you mean, right? That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Very good question. Yeah, that's a good one. Ooh, that's a good one. So the truth is, that I mean, I see your point, like in other words, if you're not kavua there, you don't really live there. You're just going to study.
Yeah.
That doesn't really mean you live there.
No.
Yeah, that doesn't really mean that. So yeah.
Also, random
Yeah.
case like this like my mom, she was born in Soviet Union, but she was raised in Israel because one of my relatives served in the army. Not my mom, but it was most of her youth that she was there. So is that considered that she lived there or not because it was just a matter of years?
No, yeah, I mean, even if you live there for a week, it's still, if you live there, you live there. But what do you call it? I'm not talking about somebody who went to visit. That's something else, right?
No, she didn't visit. She was like there.
It's like the truth is, like if you live there like for a month, it's already considered like your kavua there. Like some halacha. Some like sometimes we say a month, sometimes we say a year. But anyway, the point is, that to teach Torah, you're allowed to go to Mitzrayim, right? Shem Yinachem, right? Hashem should save us. Okay, whatever, right? So the Rambam was there, Beheter, of course. What do you think about? And also Maran, right? When he went there to be a rabbi, he went there. It was a mutar for him to go. You know why he went? Because he had no parnasah, so they offered him a job. They gave him a contract, they gave him a salary, so that was the only way he could survive.
Wasn't he told to go?
He had no parnasah.
Wasn't he told to go there?
Yeah, I'm sure his rabbis also told him, but the halacha is halacha. You know what I mean? Right, whatever, right? So that's the story with the rabbi. Okay, so anyway, right? That's the way it is. Mitzrayim. Okay, right? Okay, yeah, Mitzrayim. Okay, so let's go back to Tzitzit, right? We went to Mitzrayim, but we have to go back now. We have to leave Mitzrayim. Okay. Okay. So let's go on. So we're doing Bet Yosef. So this rabbi answers him, right? Hey, what's with you? That's only when you make it. It has to be like that. But now it's already after the making. So he says, I have no problem. That's what he answered him, right? Okay, good. So by the way, just to clarify again, right? The halacha, the Mishnah Berurah writes this, in Hilchot Yom Kippur. Says the Mishnah Berurah that if a person does a sin in public, and that makes it already a chil Hashem, you have to rebuke him in public. That's what he says. In order that there shouldn't be a chil Hashem. That's the halacha.
Which is also Yom Kippur,
Again,
like.
Why does it have to do with Yom Kippur? What's the connection? That's what you're asking.
No, I mean
Yeah.
anything that's also on Yom Kippur.
No, I'm talking in general. In general, yeah. So that's the story, right? So if a person is doing a sin in public, sorry, but his kavod comes before your kavod. Sorry, Hashem's kavod comes first. That's the way it is. Okay, good. So it's put on the Shulchan Aruch also, this thing.
So, Rabbi, you're allowed to embarrass somebody publicly.
Right. Although, like you may want to weigh in your head what's the best way to do it, You know what I mean? Like, in other words, don't go, maybe too far. You know what I mean? Everything has to be measured,
Right.
I personally, by the way, what I do is if I see somebody talking, doing chazat hashatz, I knock on the table, I say, shoo. I don't give anybody any discounts. Sorry. It says in Shulchan Aruch, if somebody's talking during hashatz, you have to rebuke him, and right there in the spot. Not later, right now.
What is that time of the
Huh?
What time of the prayer is it? You mentioned the specific time of the prayer?
Sorry?
Chazat
Chazat hashatz, yeah. The repetition of the Amidah. Okay, very good. So that's the story, right? So let's go on. So it says, so right, Rashi explains, right, that what happened was that it got bigger, the hole, after he made it, and therefore the tzitzit went droop down, right? Now it's less than a thumb, right? The thumb size. Yeah, alternatively, I'll give you a different interpretation. Nistara beged, that means that the beged was ripped, whatever, milamata from below. Mina safa al-nekev. So what happened was that they reduced the edge of the beged until now it's already low, this hole. Not because the hole got bigger, the beged got smaller. You know what I mean? They reduced the size of the beged. They cut it, with scissors, whatever, right? They reduced it. That's also another problem, right? Same thing, got the same problem. So the rule is, when it comes to tzitzit, by the way, this is like a general rule. Once you made it with hechsher, even though then later on something happened, it's kosher. There's always exceptions to that, by the way. You can't take it for everything. So that's the way it works. Okay, so then Bashat Asiya, it says Rashi, right? Itmar ha de Rabbi Yaakov. Rabbi Yaakov was talking about at the time that they made the beged. Then that's when it has to be the proper size, the proper shiur. So this rabbi tells him, when I made the beged, or when they made the beged, it was good. Now it drooped down. So I'm good, So get off my case, right? Yeah, leave me alone. So he's telling him. Okay, good. Then it goes on with Yosef. Kol makom says, Tov la'asot imra b'safat ha'beged. But he says, nevertheless, good to make that edge, the thick edge, to keep it from ripping. Shaloi natku, right? In order they shouldn't rip like that. That's what it seems to be in the Mordechai. Vagod samak, right? All these rishonim. It says over there, the tov la'asot imra. They say good to make like an edge, as we said, right? That thick edge, right? The taliton, the talit. That's what they do, by the way, today. If you look at all the talitot, they make it like thick like that in order that it shouldn't rip. That's good. A piece of good advice, of course. So that's why if you don't make it like that, it's gonna rip, and then it's gonna, it's gonna be wrong size, wrong shiur. All kinds of things happen, sometimes it goes down, sometimes it goes sideways. So he says now it's gonna be a doubt where it says there's a doubt where we should start measuring the 3 fingers that we mentioned. Right? He also writes this. That was the kavanah. That was the intention of Rabbeinu the Tur. So it doesn't seem right to me. He says, Maran. There it implies that's talking about that he wove the beged, the beged to put tzitzit. The kameh shetov la'asot lo imra. It says good to make an edge like that, the thickness, the sfato on the edge. They shouldn't separate from each other. The strings of the woof, mina beged, from the beged. And then it's going to be only the warp, right? Or the opposite way. Then it's going to be a doubt where he has to start measuring. Whether the current situation or from whatever is sticking out. But it says regarding putting tzitzit, and then they got ripped afterwards. You already put it, everything was kosher. Then it got ripped. And then the shiur went down, the size went down. They're not talking about that. It says this wasn't mentioned, it says in their words, and it's also not relevant to say regarding that, that there's a doubt whether which place starts the 3 fingers. So it says from the language of Rabbeinu, mashma, it's mashma, the kanta lematil tzitzit betalito kamar. He's talking that it's a good idea, tikkun, for somebody who's making tzitzit to do it this way, that they shouldn't rip, as we said, right? That's why you make that thick edge. Chutin, and then it's going to get smaller. Tov la'asot imra, make that edge. When you read Vadai, the Behachi it says that's what it seems to be saying. Because since it says over there that if it was far from the corner, thumb size, right? And then got ripped, as we said, right? But it's good to make an edge. It's talking about, but if it was talking about that, what she talked about, making the beged from the beginning, then it's relevant to say, in any case, right? But it says nevertheless, whatever, right? If after they put the tzitzit, the strings got ripped, as we said, right? The beged got ripped. And then now the size is smaller, right? Kasher, it's kosher, right? That's how we pass him. But good to make an edge, as we said, at the edge of the beged. They shouldn't rip like that. And then people are going to come and say, oh, look at your tzitzit. Well, it's too low. What's going on with you, right? You didn't do it right. They're going to say it's pasul. Because not everybody knows his halachot, So we're going to tell them, oh, but when I made it, it was good. Yeah, right. Yeah. Tell me another story, right? He's going to tell you. Yeah, what are you talking about, right? He's not going to believe you. Right? לא, גמיר הדינה, או יאמרו שאחר שנתקו החוטאים הטיל ציצית. Or he's going to say that he put the tzitzit afterwards, after ripped. אבל הרי שקאי, but if it's going in the beginning, תקמה ומרוחק מן הקרן כשיעור שיש מקשר גודל, that has to be the distance of the thumb, עד סוף הציפורן, until the end of the nail. מה הוא מקום מקום? What's then? How does it fit in the word מקום מקום? In any case, תקמה that he said. ואם כן, דברים אלו שכתב רבנו, so he says, if so, these words that Rabbeinu wrote, the Torah, דברי עצמו הם, they're his own opinion. ואפשר שלמדם מדברי הסמ"ק. Could be learning from a samak or Mordechai, שכתבו לעניין אורג talit, that they wrote it regarding weaving the talit, להטיל בו ציצית, פות ציצית. ומי הוא? כבר אפשר לדחוק, but we can also go in a different direction, explain it differently. ולפרש שדברים אלו דברי סמ"ק ומרדכי הם. It could be that these words are actually from samak or Mordechai, not from the Torah. וסובר רבנו דלאו באורג talit להטיל בו ציצית תמיירו. He holds that they're not talking about when you weave it. אלא תקנה, it's a תיקון, כדי שלא ינתקו החוטים, that they shouldn't rip, as we said, right? מן הבגד, from the בגד. וכמה, מה שכתבו, and that which they wrote, ויש לספק מאיזה מקום התחילו השלוש אצבעות. Now there's going to be a doubt where it starts, the three fingers. היינו לומר, it means to say, שהרואים יסתפקו. Not you, there's a doubt for you. The people who see it are going to have a doubt. In other words, what happened with this guy, right? Why does he have it so low like that? It's not kosher. Then they're going to say, oh, where do you measure from, right? Maybe I did it wrong, because this guy seems to have it too low. And even if they got ripped after they put the tzitzit, they're going to have a doubt. Maybe it's pasul. So he says, but what I wrote in the beginning seems to be more feasible, right? Whatever. Okay, let's see Shulchan Aruch and we're done, right? We're done for the week.
For you?
Yes. All right. Shulchan Aruch, got it, guys? אם היו רחוק מהכנף מלא קשר גודל, as long as it was far, like a thumb, right? The first limb of the thumb from the bottom, ונתקו מחוטי הערב. But then what happened was that, it got ripped, right? עד שלא נשאר בו קישור. Now it's too low. kasher, it's kosher like that, right? כיוון שהיה בו קישור בשעה שהטיל בו ציצית זה. Why? Because when you started, it was good. The shiur was good, as we said, right? Okay, so then says the Rama, Hagav ונוהגים לעשות אמרה סביב הנקב. So he says, as we said, right? They make that thick, rim around it, or the hole, שלא ינתק שם, because we don't want it to rip over there. ויהיה פחות מקישור, then it's going to be smaller than it should be. וכן עושים אמרה בשפת הבגד למטה. Also, we do the same thing below as well. Right? They shouldn't rip also over there below. Mihai Tama, for the same reason. So then now it says Maran, יש אומרים, some say, שבתוך רוחב הבגד אין לו שיעור. That when it comes to the length, the width of the beged, there's no sides, right? That's one opinion, right? That's one opinion. ויש אומרים שדין רוחב הבגד כדין האורך. Some say no, the same as the width, the same as the length, until 3 fingers, right? ונראים דבריהם, so it seems more plausible, right? That. So therefore, it says Maran, the halacha is just like for the length, the maximum is 3 fingers, also for the width as well. That answers your question, right? There you go. Patience pays off, right? It's a virtue. They say patience is a virtue. Okay, Chazak Baruch, Laila Tov, Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for coming, everybody in Zoom. God bless everybody. Tevarach, Tevaracho. Chazak Baruch. Okay, Laila Tov. Beautiful. Okay.